Hi friends, Megan and Wendy here, and in honor of Hallmark airing the Chicken Sisters on Hallmark Channel, we are re-airing our original reviews and recaps of these episodes that were originally recorded back in September and October of 2024. So enjoy the Chicken Sisters and enjoy these recaps and reviews.
This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today we're discussing Chicken Sisters episode 6. I Choose to Be Happy, y'all, streaming exclusively on the Hallmark Plus platform. Hey, we'd love to be your friend when the podcast is over. Check in with us. Hang out on Instagram, where we have 2 Instagram accounts, Girls Gone Hallmark. And it's about to be firing on all cylinders with Q4 content, y'all. Countdown to Christmas, all the new Hallmark Plus stuff. We've got the cruise coming. We are Girls Gone Hallmark, as well as Megan and Wendy.
Yeah, we're just going to be churning it out every single day. Send coffee. I'm already tired, and we haven't even kicked off Countdown to Christmas yet. And I'm having hardcore deja vu right now. Like I said the same thing last year. It's like birthing a baby, I think.
Oh, the anticipation is worse than the reality.
Yeah, because I'm very excited for Countdown to Christmas. And when I look back on last year and the year before, it was a lot of fun. It didn't feel overwhelming, but just leading into it feels like a lot of stuff happening.
Well, I was going to say the same thing about last year. I know we looked at our schedule and we were like, let's go, right? But doing it didn't feel burdensome. So I think, yes, the anticipation is stressing us out a little bit. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. The problem for me, though, is Hallmark Plus, to be quite.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Why are we dropping groomsmen days before Countdown to Christmas starts?
Yeah, that's it. That's an interesting choice.
Other than, they want
adding value to the platform.
Yeah, exactly. They know Tyler is going to bring the eyes to the platform. I get it.
To me, in my mind, though, it's like, January's rough for Hallmark. Like, we know on our end that we lose listeners on Girls Gone Hallmark, right? Like, we get an influx of listeners for Countdown to Christmas, and then people are like, Christmas is over. I don't watch Hallmark the rest of the year. And then they tap out. I'm sure Hallmark is the same way, right? Like, this 10 weeks is their bread and butter. But maybe this isn't going to be your Hallmark Plus bread and butter. Maybe you need to add value in January and be like, stick around, y'all. We got Tyler Hines right up top.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think they should have dropped it in January, but that's just my opinion.
We will be reviewing the groomsmen comeback next week for that.
As much as we're complaining about it right now, we will be reviewing the groomsmen, don't you?
Yeah, I'm going to watch the hell out of it, no matter when they drop it.
Come join our Girls Gone Hallmark Facebook group. Lots of cool people over there talking Hallmark and Hallmark adjacent. Not a whole lot of adjacent stuff, but just, everything happening on Hallmark and its universe.
Indeed. Now I want to hear an episode synopsis.
All right. The Sisters, episode 6. I Choose to Be Happy, y'all. Amanda tries her best to be despite current events, but she's not convincing herself. Meanwhile, the kitchen clash competition comes to a head. This episode was written by Carrie Carney. She is an actress who has been in shows like Scandal, Grey's Anatomy, and New Girl. According to IMDb, this is her first writing credit other than a short she wrote in 2010.
Oh, hey.
Director Shannon Coley returns for this episode. She did episode 5 as well.
Let's take a quick break and we'll come right back with more Chicken Sisters. We have an email, and I think now would be the right time to read it and discuss some of the content here. This is from listener Paula, who says, "Hi again. I hate doing this because you two are great, but I still think you're missing some things. Specifically, Amanda. She's tragic, but far from unlikable. Her plight is probably a more common occurrence than what May accomplished. We all know women who are stuck in these circumstances and feel powerless. On the surface, as you mentioned, her life seems fine, and that's what happens in this situation. It's her strength that has made that possible. She's made bad decisions and doesn't know what to do. That's so real. That last scene in her house was heartbreaking. It reminded me of Carrie Russell in Waitress, only she doesn't get a baby at the end or a bunch of cash. There's more, but this is already too long. Think about it. Thank you for your patience. So let's talk about it."
First off, don't ever apologize for having a different opinion
Yes.
than what we have. Like, we are telling you guys to email us, to slide into the DMs, to join our Facebook group. I love the conversation, so let's have it. With that said, I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
I don't like Amanda. I am sorry. I maybe am empathetic to her situation, but especially after this episode, girl is just making some terrible decisions, and I can't root for her.
I've spent so much time ruminating on this email since it came in, and I 100% agree. Please email us your differing opinions. I agree with some things Paula says here. Like, I do think that she's in a very common situation. I think women get in unhappy marriages with disappointing husbands all the time. I think women get in positions where they feel stuck all the time. And I also agree that the fact that her life has goodness to it is largely due to the fact that she has made it that way. I agree with all of that. That being said, I have a question. Do you think Frank Jr., based on the information that we have, is abusive?
Not physically, no. Verbally, perhaps.
Yeah, we don't have any evidence that he's physically abusive. And he's a jerk, and he's not a great husband. I don't even know that he would be considered verbally abusive. I mean, he's not nice, but he doesn't seem to be berating her in any way. I'm not suggesting that she's in a happy marriage and she should stick around. I'm not suggesting any of that. I'm just saying I get that she feels stuck. Nevertheless, to me, her behavior makes her unlikable to me. The way she treats everyone around her, even people who are trying to step in and be helpful. And I agree with you. This episode did her no favors. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm questioning why the Frank Jr. question.
Well, because I'm thinking if he were abusive, you could say, like, she doesn't have any power, right? She is afraid to make a change. But he's not. He's just a bad guy. And I understand that she's like, well, my whole life is tied up in Frank Jr. and his family. She loves Nancy. Her place in the world, Franny's, is all tied up in her husband. So I get that she doesn't feel like she has the ability to make a change, but she's not in danger. And if you were to swap the gender roles here and you were to show a man who's in an unhappy marriage, whose wife does not treat him well, who then goes on to find comfort in another woman outside of the marriage, you would not be saying like, oh, I understand you're feeling powerless. You'd be like, dude, if you're unhappy in your marriage, leave. Being unhappy in your marriage, I don't think excuses choosing to be with another person.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. I love the conversation. So Paula, if you have more thoughts, please send them our way.
Keep them coming. Jumping into the key moments in this episode, I have to be honest, I did not understand the first couple of scenes.
Why?
Like, they're talking about Gus and what created her distrust in men. And there's the scene where the cop's like, I really appreciate it. And she's like, maybe you should show it. And I was like, what is she asking him to do there? Like, she just kind of like gives him a look. Did you understand what was happening there?
Well, not in that particular scene. Like, I don't know what she wanted specifically from him other than, I mean, he said, I appreciate it, But in terms of, yes, I don't think she trusts men in general. And the fact that she has found such solace in these men in her community, I as an adult, obviously with Kenneth and Patrick and Sergio. That's what I took from it.
Yeah, I just felt like we were supposed to understand what was going on there. And then she's like also chasing that other guy out. She's like, don't forget your wedding ring. I'm like, am I supposed to know who that is?
Yeah. Yeah, no idea.
I'm just saying, I watched it twice, the short scenes, and I didn't understand it. But obviously we're building up to like, Gus doesn't trust men, except for then Kenneth and Patrick and Sergio kind of swoop in and build this like little circle of trust for her.
Right.
All right. We also get a Jin reveal, and I was wrong.
Well, he is a healer, just
Yes.
of the mind.
And I appreciate that the narrator is like, I've made y'all wait long enough. Here's the deal. And we get several mentions. They're really laying it on thick with something is going on with Gus's health in this episode. And
sorry, I'm running out of patience with this show. I don't know if you can tell.
and when I was watching it in my mind, I'm like, this is episode 7. They don't have a whole lot of time to wrap it up, but it is not. It is episode 6. Yeah. So I can kind of see the trajectory of the end of this show. Related to this, it happens later, but I would just like to say that even though I was not 100% correct about Jin, we called it last week. She did not sleep with Frank Jr.
Oh,
Frank
yeah,
Sr.
You were right about that. God, I hope she didn't sleep with Frank Jr. Yes, you are correct about the Frank Sr. He was just a piece of crap. Of course he's going to say that he fooled around with her.
Isn't that interesting that he felt more comfortable telling his wife, oh, I slept with Gus the night before our wedding, rather than letting her in on the fact that he's like trying to get Mimi's taken away from her.
Yeah.
That feels like the high road that he took.
Yeah. Wow. This just generally, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't know what I was going to say. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Here's my thoughts about Jen, first of all. And not May's health, and Gus's health, it has taken way too long to get to this. Like, they set this up in episode 1. Like, it doesn't need to be this big secret. It is not salacious by any means. Perhaps where they're from, it might be, this whole town, these whole families, I feel like it's built on secrets, right? So, like, they don't want to show Gus actually receiving help from a man. It's just like, let's just get there. Like, I think the storytelling is far more interesting to talk about the stuff that Gus is going through, other than like alluding to her having some affair when he is just a doctor of medicine.
Yeah, I fully agree that I would rather be like dealing with the actual issues and the aftermath. When she was like, oh, can you imagine what would happen if I came into your office? I'm like, what are people going to say? To me, have you ever heard like stories of nurses who are like, oh, we know if a farmer comes into the emergency room, it's because he's like lost an arm. Like, they don't come in if they're coming in, it's like a big freaking deal. And so I'm wondering if it's like the same situation. Like, the town sees Gus seeking this alternative medical treatment. Maybe they're like, oh, something really bad must be going on with her, and it reveals more than she wants to. I don't know. I think like you said, they started teasing this too early. Like, they were teasing it in episode 1, and I do think it was perhaps let go on too long. They could have added this in 3 episodes ago and maybe given us some teasers there.
Exactly. And I don't think, obviously, because I know you told me what her health situation is from the book. Do you think that is going to be her health situation in the show?
I think it definitely seems like they're hinting. The hints they have dropped have led me to believe that could be true. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It could be something else, though. It's all pretty vague. She's like rubbing her hands and stumbling and dealing with muscle aches. We have Frank Jr. continuing on his dude bro journey.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I cannot tell you the rage I feel when he's listening to his like Man Kingdom podcast. Hard. Hard. What's funny is the guy called it an app, but I was like, why
Yeah.
didn't he say I have a podcast? Like, be a beta tester of my app, but basically the app is just like these verbal affirmations. Anyway,
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't put that together, but you're right. Let's call it what it is.
yeah. I mean, maybe they're like, we don't want to be the Hallmark Joe Rogan, but
I was just going to say Joe Rogan. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, Frank Jr., he doesn't need affirmations to be any worse than he probably is already. And I mean, we'll just talk about it at the end when he makes his phone call about calling the health department or whatever on Mimi's. Actually, he's calling it on Gus's house behind Mimi's, right? What a piece of you know what.
Yep.
And and the narrator was like, oh, his dad would be proud, essentially. And I was like, gross. Like, I just cannot stand the men in this family.
I think it's a really interesting storytelling choice to include this storyline for Frank Jr., who, as we mentioned, was not a character in the book who was alive. So this is not behavior that we would have seen. So this is a choice that the writers of the series have made. And I think it is a really interesting choice, given our political climate, to like watch in a very lighthearted way, like the radicalization of some of these guys via just being told things that they want to believe about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a TikTok the other day that said, when you don't know anything, everything sounds like a conspiracy. And
Sure.
that is what I was thinking of when I was watching Frank Jr. spiral down his, I gotta go. And he goes and like tanks up on his Kingdom Talk in the truck. It's gross.
It's so gross.
It felt like an addict would do that. Like they would have to run out and like take a hit of whatever their drug of choice is, but he's got to run out and put this podcast in his ears.
Yeah. So as we're talking about this, I'm thinking, not only do I not like Frank Jr. as this character, right? He comes from this, I mean, obviously his dad was a bad dude as well. But then there starts to be like this stigma of like where they're from, right? And I'm not saying I believe this, but there could be a stereotype that they're from the country and maybe not as educated as other people in our country, right?
Uh-huh.
And therefore, it just gives like a bad look on like small town people. Is this making sense as I'm like spitting it out?
No, I think it makes sense. It's not the vibe I am getting, but I think it's easy when you're putting a character who is from a small town in a position of being like easily swept up. That's not a big leap to make.
Right.
But I also think you could put any man in this position and find him. In 50 states, you could find a dude who's susceptible to this kind of talk.
Absolutely.
Like any man who feels like he does not have the power that he, quote, deserves is the target audience for this guy.
Mm-hmm. Now, get me to the end of the story here, because I don't know what the resolve is here. Like, resolve? Did I just do it again?
The resolution.
What is the resolution here? Because we have 2 episodes. Frank is super unlikable. If the series follows the book by any means, how are we going to get these 2 restaurants to coexist with these terrible people and have it be successful.
For me, Frank Jr. is the part that I don't understand how we're going to work around because, again, I've read the book. I know the general resolution. I can see that could be a place that we're working towards. I could see leaving things open for a second season. I don't know how you handle the Frank Jr. of it all in the resolution that I see happening in this show. So I'm very curious. I know you are so over the show. I still enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy tearing apart some of these characters and their decisions. I'm still invested in the show. I actually think this could be the rare show where season 2 might be more entertaining because there's so many secrets throughout this season, and I don't really love that sort of storytelling when it's dragged on so long. I mean, the Frank Sr. secret took us 6 episodes to get to like the truth of who he is, and all of these other little secrets. It's not my favorite, but I'm very curious to see where the wrap up goes here because Frank Jr. to me is the outlier. Like, I can really see everybody else in this town finding a way to coexist, but Frank Jr. is the nail in the tire, and I don't know where's he going to go? How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Emil was so gross in this episode too because she did very briefly say like she questioned him on why he got the vasectomy and talked about like children are a blessing, and he's such a jerk and throws it right back at her. And why did you only have one? As if he couldn't think of a single possible reason why his mother only had one child. But she's like, oh, the women of Kitchen Clash need some eye candy. And I thought, Nancy, gross.
I know.
Stop making excuses for your son.
I'm telling you, I feel like some of these characters are so lean into stereotypes, and I just don't like it.
Yeah, she's a real enabler.
It is really frustrating to watch. I would like to speak about the whole Kitchen Clash competition.
The side dish competition.
I actually enjoyed that part of it. I wish they had more of that stuff in this show, actually, because that is the whole point, is that they're there for a competition, right?
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy that Frank's, kind of head exploded a little bit because he wasn't able to make his recipe as planned. And I was not surprised by any means that him and Sergio got into a fight at the end.
No.
Actually was a little surprised by that in terms of it being on Hallmark. Like a fight like that. But I'm not surprised by any of it because Frank is Frank.
Yeah, all of the Frank Jr. moments did not surprise me in that. I will say, I actually think it's kind of dumb that they're creating brand new side dishes that they've never made before. This is not a chef competition. This is a battle of the 2 restaurants. Yeah. And it doesn't seem to me to be in the spirit of the competition to judge which restaurant is best if they're like, hey, you 2 guys that work here, come up with brand new stuff. I think it's fun as a side piece, but given that we haven't seen, and I hope we're getting there, but we haven't seen any sort of like restaurant action as opposed to that just being a setting. Like, show me Kitchen Clash doing little mini segments that feature the actual restaurants and their food.
Yeah. Well, if I liken it to one of my all-time favorite reality TV shows, Vanderpump Rules, that show was not about working in a restaurant. It was about the people who worked in the restaurant, right? All of them, all their secrets and misbehaviors, whatever.
The Chicken Sisters is the Hallmark equivalent of Vanderpump Rules. That's the way to sell it, man. That's how you get people over to the network.
Maybe. And this whole truck situation.
Yeah.
I hated every single minute of it. I'm like, what are you doing?
1000% agree with you. I was like, Amanda, you need to leave your husband. Stop. It's not funny anymore. Like, you can understand, like, you have one frustrated moment and you kiss some dude in a kitchen because tensions are running high. But like getting in his truck, driving out to the middle of nowhere. And then the moment where like they get caught on the seatbelt, that's the moment where you need to be like, maybe this isn't the best idea. Instead, she straddles him in his lap. I just don't find it cute.
No, sometimes when you watch movies or shows, and we've talked about this, I'm not going to clutch my pearls at this kind of stuff. Like, typically, I like as a viewer when there's something salacious happening, it makes it for good TV. This is just wrong in so many ways. And I think it's mostly because of last episode where she chose to go back to her husband.
Yes.
And in the next episode, she's like with Sergio again. I'm like, stop it. Stop it. And like I said before, I don't buy this relationship at all because there has not been enough time for these two, Sergio and Amanda, to have gotten to know each other and develop feelings for each other. It's maybe they're just operating fully on like some sort of physical connection, but in this truck scene, they're like confessing their like, feelings for each other. I'm like, how did we even get here? I just don't, I can't buy into it. I can't get excited for it. I don't care about it. It makes me dislike Amanda more.
Yeah, I really like Sergio a lot. I am not rooting for this relationship. And I kind of wish that I was because I hate Frank Jr. so much. But in the moment where he's like, I'm not a player. I mean, like, maybe I was. But like, I'm putting down roots. And he drives her out to show like, I'm here for the long haul. And I agree with you. We don't know enough about these two to suggest that there are real feelings. How much time has passed? 2 weeks?
I don't know.
And they spend very little actual time together because they're on opposite sides of kitchen clash. So I agree with you.
And I also want to add, I'm not only hating on Amanda. If Sergio, I'm putting down roots, I'm this good guy, have some fucking integrity and be like, I'm sorry, you're married. Like, if you want to be with me, you need to leave your husband.
Yeah, give me a call when that is no longer the case.
Yeah, like, I hate it. I hate it so much. May and Kenneth and their reconciliation.
Yeah.
Besties.
And that was cute, but I thought it was interesting, like, because Kenneth kind of welcomed May back. Like, he was there day one, helping her repaint Mimi's. He gave her a place to stay at their inn. And now, all of a sudden, he's like, actually, you have some sins to atone for, lady.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think it was cute that she came around and she acknowledged, like, I have expected you to be there for me and I was not there for you. And that was a nice friendship moment.
It just further cements for me that May is the one and only character on this show who has had the most growth.
Yeah, and there's even a scene where she kind of is talking about Amanda, about how like she's always going to choose Frank Jr., but the tone of her voice is not angry. As disappointed as I think she was in last episode when she makes the choice to go back to Frank Jr., I expect her to be kind of salty with Amanda, and she kind of is like, that's who my sister is, and is just accepting. And I thought it makes her look so much like the bigger person in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple little things, but they're mostly in my like cluck-worthy moments. So
All right, let's move on.
I liked the story of Amanda learning that Frankie is going to go to New York and audition. And here's what I liked about it. I liked, like, she confronts May and May's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, I'm letting her stay in my house instead of on the street. Like, obviously I'm doing the right thing here. But what I really liked is in the car and Amanda's like, I don't understand why you wouldn't tell me. And Frankie's like, what Frankie doesn't come right out and say is like, because you never got to leave. You're stuck here and I might get out and I feel guilty about that. But Amanda's like, I will love you forever. And unconditional love is a thing. And Frankie's like, how the hell am I supposed to know that? Look at our family. You and mom don't have a relationship. You and your sister don't have a relationship. Why would I be led to believe that I'm the change in this family? Like,
Yeah, totally. That's such a good point.
so I loved that.
Yeah, I loved, well, kind of rewinding a little bit. Sabrina and Lindsay have this like nice moment, right?
Yes.
And Sabrina tells Amanda, oh, we had this like nice moment together, and that is the vehicle of how Amanda ends up finding out about Frankie's plans to go to New York. I just thought that was nicely done, other than, Amanda finding out some other way, but I just thought it was well done.
Yeah, I liked how she's like, "You're producing me," and Sabrina's like, "No, but I wish I was." Speaking of Lindsay, I like that she had that fun moment of like showing her producing instinct. Like you see her off camera and you almost think she's like looking down her nose at like the puns her mom's making. And when in fact she's like, how can we make it better? And I like seeing that relationship have growth and Lindsay having a moment of coming into her own a little bit. Although the moment before that, I did laugh out loud when she's watching TV and she's like, I can't with this channel thing. And then
yeah.
Sabrina said something about Riz, and I just died.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because I laughed really hard because we had literally the same conversation in our house this weekend. My husband was using the word Riz, and my daughter was like, stop that. Stop it right now. And then, of course, he thought, like, really leaned into, like, the dad joke and, like, kept doing it. And I was like, okay, now it's not funny. But,
I thought May gave a great performance when she's tearing up over Jay, when she's having her moment in bed looking at those photos. And I was very convinced with her cry scene and her deep breath through that moment.
So that's funny that you mentioned that because like I thought that was good too, but then the whole deep breath thing, I thought like she was putting her armor back up again. Like she can't show any sort of like, that's what she's had to do her entire life is like not show emotion on things. So yeah, I mean, it just gives us a deeper side of who May is.
And finally, Nancy's Paula Poundstone reference, as if that is the most recent comedic performance she can pull from memory, made me laugh.
Poundstone is a little controversial too, right?
Oh, is she? I don't know.
Hold on a second. Paula Poundstone was found guilty of felony child endangerment and charged with 3 counts of lewd acts upon a child younger than 14.
Oh, no. All right. Well, not funny anymore.
Yeah, kind of weird that it's like almost putting like a Diddy joke in like a Hallmark show. Like it just feels, did somebody do any due diligence here? You know what I mean? Things you learn on Girls Gone Hallmark.
I know. Do you have any more Cluckworthy moments?
No, that's it.
Cool. Who's your feathered friend of the week?
It continues May from last week.
I know. Why is she the best person on this show?
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, and I know I asked you this before, I was like, was she the main character in the book? And you said no. But if you also look at the image, the poster or whatever for Hallmark, she's like the center star.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder if there is a direction to make it more about.
Yeah, she's in front of Amanda in that image. Interesting. All right, y'all. There are 2 more episodes of Chicken Sisters. Unfortunately for Wendy, we will be reviewing and recapping both of them here on Girls Gone Hallmark for the next 2 Wednesdays. So make sure to come back for that. As always, if you have differing opinions, please email us, girlsgonehallmark@gmail.com. And we would love for you to take a quick minute if you enjoyed this podcast and leave a quick rating and review in the Apple Podcast app or leave us a comment on Spotify. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.